Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening, it is the Big Biz Show inside the Loft 100 studios. And as we love to say in these here parts, a big old happy to you. Costa, Mary, Godwin.
You realize it's from it not being a thing, it's now become a thing.
Our executive producer is Greg Poteroff, and of course Sully, and these guys up here on stage, the best in the business, the Day Trader Trio.
Hey. Yes, indeed. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I saw some something on Instacart the other day.
Not Instacart.
I think we all know what I mean. Where Trace was out front.
Get out of
with
here.
a microphone, doing the market. So what was that all about?
So the LA County Fair, they have,
I almost thought he was going to say LA County. What's the next word?
Fair.
Jail. You get pulled over? You have a big time in LA?
Driving while black, that usually happens.
Wow.
That's how usually works.
Wow.
So, no, but I was rocking a set at the LA County Fair.
It was pretty cool.
And, yeah. So
do you enjoy that, being the front guy?
Oh, absolutely.
You're so good, Trace.
It was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
there's more footage to come. I have the full thing, but I was just resharing what the brother who booked me,
Brian, so you were in New York. Are you with somebody famous?
No.
And James.
It's never on Instacart.
Very good. All right, I have one. So if you're new, if you didn't join us last week, the reason I'm wearing this is twofold. I have to, because I had a skin cancer scare. But the reason I got this color was it's the warning label. Wear a hat.
Appreciate it.
Right?
Yeah.
Wear a hat because I got one more. I got a couple more days of this, and then I'm good. That was a long. I mean, if you lose a finger, what happened to me here is is the same analogy I give with heroin and coffee. Okay.
Whoa.
You can quit heroin in 2 days with methadone. How long does it take you to get off of caffeine?
Oh, forget it.
3 weeks.
No.
You can get off of heroin in 2 days using methadone, but killing coffee without a huge headache is 2 weeks.
Impossible.
You could lose a finger and you'd be okay by day 4. I'm on day 7 and it's still with all the little core samples they took out of my head.
Yeah, but just think about all massive head wounds. They all bleed. You bleed like a stuck pig, even if it's a teeny little nick.
Have you ever bled more than when you cut yourself shaving?
Oh yeah.
I mean, just I remember the days where you used to see your dad go to work and he had a little piece of tissue.
Oh yeah. Oh, what's that? Was it a
styptic pencil? Styptic pencil.
And no one ever told me the styptic pencil stung when you applied. Ooh.
Well, and when it dries, you may be putting white out on your face. So let's just put the Band-Aid on.
Pretty much.
Let's go to New York City and visit Howie Font, our lead analyst, to kick the week off in the show here. Here he goes, Howard. You have the thing. Oh, wait a minute.
Whoa.
What is this?
Whoa, excuse us.
What is this? Howie's landing. Oh, look who's here in person.
Wait a second.
Howie Font rolls in, dressed like.
Happy to be here.
Just like Mike.
Look at you. Welcome.
I love when he goes to San Diego, he just dresses like he's from San Diego.
Oh, this is just in solidarity.
Okay.
Ahoy, Polloy.
Nice to have you.
The hat is white because
Is that Notre Dame? What is
No, that's the lucky.
This is
That's
Lucky
the
brand.
That's the live like. It's not lucky. It's the
I
live
take it off and
Good luck.
show you, but I can't.
Oh, right.
I'm not mistaken-
Oh, is your hair not perfectly coiffed today?
We should have them on the
Can't be
air
on the air.
because Live Lucky. I think gives money away. For buying. We should have.
Oh,
them
nice.
on the air.
Awesome.
Plus, if we have them on the air, they'll give us more hats.
Do they have any bright orange hats that we can go to?
Melon
They got
color.
I don't think
nothing
we
like
need.
that.
I don't think we need any
My
more.
guy just found his new look.
I don't think we need more. Howie's going to talk about tariffs because.
Lots happening in the market today.
Really?
Good.
And I'm lucky.
The upside. I have good.
I love that you
insight.
look like you just came out of a municipal gym, like Mike, who apparently is sponsored by.
I'm very uncomfortable without my normal attire.
You look great.
You think Mike's getting cash on the side? I think he is. I think he's 100% getting.
I don't know what you're talking about. Keep it right here. Much more to come. The Big Biz Show. We promise. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, Big Biz Show rolls on live from the Loft 100 studios here, beautiful Southern California. Gentlemen, you hear playing on stage, that is the dictator DeHaan.
Yep.
And back here at the bar, Costumer Godwin, Greg Todorov is our executive producer, Sully, and of course, our market analyst, H. Font. Esquire.
Is it out of the possibility that you would ever consider running for president someday?
I go to all of the Eyes Wide Shut owl meetings where they decide these things. You know. Yeah. No, I'm really lobbying for it. I don't know if the Illuminati will have me, but it's one of my big goals.
Where did you run for city council again? And how old were you?
Leon County. It was
where's
the
Leon County?
Commission, the
Florida?
state capital of Florida. That's where Tallahassee is.
Leon County, Florida. Ran for city council at age 22.
Yeah, that's right.
What was your platform?
You're not gonna like it, right?
No, I mean they had some.
Why did I ask?
Yeah, they had some. You're going back like 8 years now or whatever it is.
Oh my God.
But they wanted to.
8 years ago, Mike was in his early 50s.
I was going to say, I actually was. Thanks, Hal.
Cookies and milk for everybody. That was his platform.
It's so local issues. They wanted the county to basically take over the school board, which was kind of a non-starter. They wanted an area of the town to have a sewer system, but that would increase the millage tax, which is your property tax at the local level. So a bunch of little things. I had to go.
This bothered you. This bothered you at age 22. It mattered to you at age 22.
I felt there was an opportunity, and
all right, very good. There was an opportunity when Saul Alinsky wrote the book Rules for Radicals, which was taken on in the 60s by many socialists and communists, even earlier than that. His idea for radicals, coming from at the time USSR, was to create chaos and then come to the rescue and fix chaos. Now that has been sort of part of the playbook that if you look at Fox News will say that's the playbook from the left, just like CNN will say there's a playbook for the right. What's interesting is about what has happened with these tariffs is Donald Trump has done the exact thing that conservative media would blame liberals for doing, and that is creating chaos and then fixing it. And it's interesting because it's kind of turning out to work. It's working.
Well, what I think is most interesting there is if you just came out, you're inaugurated in January, you come out and say 10% tariff on everything, that's how it's going to be, there's no negotiating, then the whole world will throw their hands up in the air, the market will drop. But if you do this 100% stuff and you have a big fight over it, then you pull it back. Now we're all like, okay, it's only 10%.
Oh, totally.
I mean, that's kind of how everyone's ended up. And,
it's so true.
The market is now doing fine after a lot of volatility. The volatility, by the way, there was so much up and down in the market. Citadel Securities, a big algo fund. I mean, they have lots of businesses, but they're a market maker and they trade. They just reported their earnings are 100% higher or 70% higher than they were last year. $1.7 billion instead of $1 billion.
So
all off just the news.
So what is the latest? So his
lots of stuff happening this week. So
first of all, the 50% tariff thing is put off until July 9th now, right?
Yes, that's right. That's the big news today.
And that's for European imports.
Yes. So European tariffs on the EU that we didn't have a timeline for negotiation or anything. Now we do. Okay. The president said yesterday.
So he's kicked everyone down the road.
Well, yeah. I mean,
as the sundown happens, he kicks them down the road.
He does Liberation Day, says it's happening in a week. And then he says it's my great honor to pause everything for 90 days. And then, oh my gosh, it was a privilege to have a phone call with the president of the EU yesterday. I'm going to move it out a little bit more. So these little
by little, he off-ramps it, and now it's not a thing.
Yeah. Well, in the market, it's not a thing. That's not.
Well, buying the rumor, selling the news, right? So the rumor was going to happen. We all panicked. We went down 40%, and now we are back where we were.
Yeah.
And remember I told you that with 60 days, you're going to smell like a rose. We're on day 50.
Yep.
He's starting to smell like a rose.
I can't argue with the market reaction. I'm a big free trader. I don't love the net tariffs, but who can argue with that? I mean, there's a lot happening this week too, though. When the market's actually up 2% as we're talking before I got off the plane. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And we have this House bill where we're really worried, like I said last week, about the country's credit. So he's juggling, the administration's juggling 1,000 things.
Well, but what's interesting is, and to his credit, I will say, is that he is active on all of it, but his playbook is pretty obvious these days. It's I'm gonna react versus respond. I'm gonna bloviate. I'm gonna cause the biggest reaction I can get, and I'm gonna come to the rescue and fix it. And I'm going to end up getting what I wanted that you guys complained about in the first place, but now it's not as bad as it doesn't seem as bad as you thought it did. Talk about his media company, because his media company, TMT or TMTG or TM something, is raising $3 billion. That's a privately held company, or is it a public?
That's a privately held company. That's where Truth Social is held.
So what is he raising money for?
This is actually really interesting and really important. So at the same time that the market's up 2% today, Bitcoin is up near its all-time highs, I think at $110,000 a coin. Jeez. Really, really crazy when we think about, I think in 2017 it was...
Is that like are those two stories tied together?
They're exactly tied together. Thanks for getting me there. They raised the money, $2 billion in equity, $1 billion in debt, to buy Bitcoin in their corporate treasury. So they don't want to just hold cash in their corporate treasury. You hold some short-term assets.
And they said the word Bitcoin. And it would be like
a basket of cryptocurrency.
It'd be like the Oracle of Omaha.
Yeah.
Okay. Warren Buffett saying, we're going to invest in crypto, and suddenly crypto jumps up. Has the Trump administration talked anything about oil and gas?
Well, they don't stop talking about it, really. I mean, what's kind of interesting is we spent basically 9/11 to 2016 getting energy independent by fracking and producing a lot of nat gas within the country, but we were using it for our own domestic consumption. What the Trump administration is doing now is saying, great, ramp it up even more, we'll lower permitting regulations and all that, export it.
Well, the good news is Patrick DeHaan is here from GasBuddy.com. And guess what? Gas is cheapest right now, isn't it, Patrick? I mean, was during the Morley traffic jam? I mean, our summer blend didn't hit in time. Did we pay as much as we thought we were going to pay, Patrick?
I think we're a lot lower than we thought. Our forecast back out in December, boy, that looks really bullish now. But there's been a lot of developments, like you guys have been talking about on trade and tariffs, and there's been a lot of market gyration. And it's part of the reason that oil is lower really has to do with the uncertainty, although a lot of it really has to do with OPEC now, which is, by the way, meeting again in Vienna as we talk, and they're potentially going to raise output again for the month of July.
I saw your notes. I saw your notes here. Did they forget to charge us, like you say here? Or was it an accounting error?
Oops. So the really interesting thing here, though, is that OPEC is recapturing some of its market share by increasing production. This is actually negative for U.S. oil producers who, if you've been watching, the U.S. rig count is declining, right? Because U.S. producers are not state controlled. They're companies that need to make money for their shareholders. And so OPEC's raising production, driving down costs. And in the next, couple of years, that could be problematic. That could bring us to a point where U.S. oil production is actually down quite a bit, even against President Trump's desire to drill, baby, drill, right? You can make regulations, and he certainly cut through the red tape. But if oil prices aren't high enough, that's going to be problematic for U.S. oil production down the road. Now, where we are now, though, consumers loving it. The cheapest start to cheapest start to Memorial Day in the summer since 2021. So all in all, not too bad, except if you're in California where gas prices are still close to $5.
It wasn't for me.
Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis for GasBuddy. Website is GasBuddy.com. Patrick, was this any part of the discussions Trump had when he went to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, on that big trip?
Oh, is this Qatar or Qatar? It feels like it should be Qatar.
And the thing is, I don't care.
Okay, I'm just asking.
No, I'm just
saying. I used to say, to your point, Qatar. They used to say Qatar. They're not even sure what they want to call themselves, right? Because you hear it in both terms. That's the interesting development here over the last, the change administration, Biden to Trump. Obviously, the Middle East feels completely different about the U.S. administration now. They've rolled out the red carpet, right? We all saw the photos, well, maybe you did, of MBS sitting down, hand over his heart when Trump was making his speech. So that's one really interesting area here, is that the Middle East oil producers have really warmed up, or seemingly warmed up, to the Trump administration. And now they're increasing oil production dramatically, right? Trump wanted cheap energy. But what you may not hear in the years ahead is, again, the concern now that U.S. producers are probably going to produce less. That's a big part of the story here. Is warming relations with Middle Eastern countries is a big game changer compared to 6 months ago.
So Patrick, in 30 seconds, one of these things is not like the other. In other words, this year doesn't seem like the other years. Give me a crystal ball here for the next 6 months, or let's say 8 months. Bring us into December. What are we looking?
A lot of economic uncertainty, but I think, Sully, we trend lower over the next 6 months. Wow. By the end of the year, the national average should be below $3 a gallon.
Dang.
California should see some relief, although keep in mind, California and refining, that's a whole other ballgame. California and the West Coast have seen much higher prices because of a lack of refining, but I think for most of the rest of the country, Sully, by the end of the year, pretty solid shot of being potentially below $3 or even well below $3.
That's why I love him, because he says everything I want him to say.
Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis, GasBuddy, the website. Check him out. All the good news right now is gasbuddy.com. It is the Big Biz Show.
And a big howdy to you.
And a big old howdy to you.
And a big old howdy to you.
All you people watching out there in TV land, also listening on the American Forces Network. Those three talented individuals, that is the Day Trader Trio. Best in the business, no less than self-taught. Back here at the bar, Costa, Mary Godwin, and of course, Sully.
Where did Tariffs go? Is he executive producing?
Yeah, he had See a Man About a Horse.
You don't say Greg says just enough to be snarky enough, so you know.
Just gets in.
He just left his mic right there and walked on out.
Well, because you know why? He's an executive.
That's right.
He's an executive producer.
Right.
A couple of things that I need to talk about. Shep Hyken, our next guest, who I just love. And Shep and I met in 2017 when I went to something called a 3-Ring Circus by someone named Josh Linkner, who is a premier keynote speaker. And I had a television program and a radio program. And people knew that I knew about business. And they said, you should go out there and speak. And I said, So, and I was referred to this 3-Ring Circus, which taught me the business of speaking. Not what to say, not how to do it, but the business of speaking. And I met Shep there, and we formed a bromance. Didn't we, Shep? Like almost immediately. It was
instantly.
I don't know what it was.
Then I found out that you were musically inclined. I go, okay, my brother from another mother.
It was so funny because, and I think at the time you were president of the National Speakers Bureau Association or something.
I was talking National Speakers Association.
I was talking to royalty. I was just kissing up. We actually we got along as friends. It was really great, and then we started having on there. And of course, one of his books, I'll Be Back. And of course, he's the Chief Amazement Officer at Shepard Presentations. But I want you to describe to the audience what you sent us in terms of collateral material, because this was an event, but what came out of this, Shep, I need you to come to San Diego, and I'm not kidding when I say this. We need to do 2 entire shows on just what happened at this customer service, CXS, I believe is what you call it, but I'll let you take it from there.
Wait, so are you talking about my research? Are you talking about this event I did in Las Vegas recently?
The event you did in Las Vegas recently.
So it was a great event. We had this panel I was part of, and we had Fred Reichheld, the guy that invented what's called the Net Promoter Score, which is one of the metrics that almost every company in the world uses to determine whether or not a customer is happy with them or not. We had another customer experience expert, and the three of us sat down. This was my favorite part. Somebody said, what's changed in customer service and experience? And Fred had his take on it and went on, and another speaker had her take on it, and then came to me, and I said, nothing's changed. And I know that's kind of an opposite of everything that you've said with all of the technology and everything that's been created. And the reality of it is, it was thousands of years ago when the first complaint letter, I guess you would call it, was carved into stone and delivered to a person that sold copper to a company, and the person was complaining about the copper ingots that he had bought, and he wanted a refund or he wanted action taken. And this is actually in the Museum of History in London, England. I mean, it's a big deal. It's right there. And here we are thousands of years later, and I will tell you that a customer calls, complains, writes a letter, sends an email. All they want is happiness when it's all over. Nothing has changed, and 1,000 years from now, it's going to be the exact same thing. So that's my point. Technology has obviously changed and making it happen, but at the end, same result.
You know, what's interesting is under your interesting and intriguing finding under some of the research and such, 84% of customers want personalized experience. They want folks to make them in. They want a mobile app. But what I really found out is the ability to reach a customer support person is so very high still on the list in comparison to, let's say, quick and easy self-service, which is also important. Just like delivery is important, or no hold times are important. But getting to a person without going 000000000 like we have all done in our lives,
or yelling, customer service rep.
Yeah, representative.
Yeah.
Representative.
well, you will know. I mean, Shep, you'll love this because my new book called The 1 Hour Advantage talks about the fact that my number one question people ask me, and that book comes out in February, is not about business, not about music, not about television. It's about how do you have so much time to do everything? And it's because I always talk about defending your calendar space. And I use this example. If you waste 10 minutes of your day, or you let somebody waste 10 minutes of your day, that's 61 hours a year. In other words, if you have to get on the phone with a credit card company, you've just put 61 hours into your appointment bank there on some of these things. Aren't you surprised that these still exist in a world where we have AI, we have real chat, and we have the ability to talk to a real human?
Well, so that's the whole idea behind using AI and chat and that type of thing is if you give a customer choice, would you rather get your answer right now, or would you rather wait 15 minutes because you're on hold, you're being authenticated, et cetera, before you finally talk to a rep? And I just recently wrote an article and did a cartoon, and this is the customer journey. Customer calls in to talk to customer support, waits 15 minutes, support rep answers, transfers, repeat story for the customer, transfers again, repeat stories again, transfers one more time, and then that person says, I'm sorry, that's not my department.
I know.
This is what happens. And 68% of customers that we surveyed this year, 2025, say they would rather go to the phone first, which really surprises me. And you can imagine that a huge percentage of that, it's 81% of baby boomers say, I'm going to the phone first, versus about 51% of Gen Z that says, hey, I'd rather go digital first. But still, overall, that's like 7 out of 10 people want to go to the phone first. And I'm not sure why, but if we look at the stats on how unreliable AI has been over the years, it's much better today. And anybody that has a current modern system is probably delivering on almost every opportunity they have to do so. But by the way, if you do have an AI self-service type chat, it's expected that it'd be easy to talk to a human if I can't get what I want.
Shep, do you know what I really appreciate? I don't know if you guys do this or not. If I'm going to be on hold, if they allow me to punch in my number and call me back.
I was wondering about that.
I love that.
I do too.
Listen, I don't care. Listen, I don't need somebody right away. I just need to know that I'm not just going to sit there. Because as I mentioned, my 1 hour advantage, the whole idea is I think I can save everybody an hour. I think I can look at anybody's schedule and save you an hour. And part of that is I don't do meetings. I defend. I don't sit on hold. You call me back. I can be doing stuff while I'm doing stuff.
Right.
The point is that I really appreciate that when they do this. The other thing too that I found was interesting, as part of your talking points, is 1 in 4 satisfied customers still might not come back. What the heck?
So this is the point. If you think about what we get compared to, if I own a business, I'm not necessarily compared to a direct competitor. I'm compared to the best service experience that customers ever had. My guess is going to be a company like Amazon or Apple, or maybe the friendliness of a Chick-fil-A, right? So this is the bar that I have to reach for. I don't want to reach for what my competitors are doing. So what we found, and when we asked on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is lousy and 5 is great, 3 is right in the middle. That's average or satisfactory, right? Just okay. It's like fine. How's everything? It's fine. And you've heard me say this. Fine is a 4-letter word. It starts with F. It is the F-bomb of customer service, right? So we stay away from average. And I said, if you were to give a company a 3, which means it was average or okay or satisfactory, nothing great, would you want to come back? And 1 in 25 basically, or 1 in 4, 25% approximately, said, no, don't want to come back. Shep, and I would go try to find, or if it was offered up, I would immediately switch to someone else. That's a very dangerous thing for people who are in business to think. We never hear complaints. So why did the customers disappear? It's because you were just okay. You were just fine. Now, by the way,
I'm flying you in here, Shep. I'm flying you in here for a couple days. I'm not kidding. I'm going to call you after the show. I need to get you there.
I'm not kidding. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you need to. Plus, also, you want to get on stage with the band. You know you do.
Shep, if you came in studio, that would be fine. Shep Hyken, Chief Amazement Officer, Shepard Presentation, Shep Hyken, Customer Service, Customer Expert, Experience Expert, Shep. What's Shep's height? Wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening, thank you for tuning in, hanging out with us for the Big Biz Show.
And a big old howdy to you.
And a big old howdy to you.
It's a big old howdy to you is what the big
old howdy to you.
It's a big old howdy to you.
It wrote itself when you think about it.
I do love the howdy to you.
Hello.
I like it too.
It's
growing on me.
100% a thing.
It's very warm and
Been
inviting.
beaten down.
Can you tell me if I were to ask you, Mike Costa?
Yes.
No, I'm going to ask both of you. You've heard of a thing called PE ratio, price earnings ratio?
Sure.
In a stock, PE ratio? Have you heard of that? Have you heard the term?
Yes.
You know what it means?
No, do not.
It means the price of a stock in relationship to the earnings that company's making.
Okay.
What does it really mean, Howie? And why does it matter?
No, that's a pretty good description. I think we'll get somewhere by the end of this, but it's important because if you need some sort of metric to say, how much am I really paying for this? What is important? So if you have $1 of earnings, it's price to earnings. So if you know a company is going to make $1 a year, how much are you willing to pay for that? Are you willing to pay
so stop there. That's important.
Yeah.
So price of a stock, it fluctuates based upon what's called a bid or an offer,
right,
and an ask. I beg your pardon. I have that opposite. It's just say bid and ask. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm asking for this price. I'm bidding. I'm willing to pay this much.
Yep.
Okay. So if a share of Apple is $100, it's not only worth $100, but it's what investors are willing to pay for it. They're not willing to pay $200, but they're also willing to pay more than $99.99. Okay. So basically, if you think in terms of how much an investor is willing to pay per dollar of profit in a company, that's why a price to earnings ratio is important. Okay.
And that's based on what they think the company is worth.
No, it's based
Or
on
how much they think it's going to make.
How much they think it's going to make.
How much they think it's going to make exactly right. That's why
future profit.
I've been coming on the show talking about earnings and how important that is. And if you have strong earnings, you're showing, oh no, we're growing and we're growing more than we did last time, which means it's accelerating. So if you had, a black box that spit out quarters and all of a sudden it started spitting out dollars, you'd probably pay more for the black box, expecting it to start giving you, Lincolns and then Benjamins, hopefully, and then and that's the idea.
So what happens when an investor is willing to pay more? Well, let's say it goes into an overbought condition. In other words, I'm willing to pay. Let me tell you what overbought and oversold means. Let's say a loaf of bread costs $1. Okay, and the bridge on the road that goes from the flour factory to the actually baker blows up. Now we only have the baker and the flour, but no way to get to it. So suddenly there's only so much bread. What's going to happen to bread? It's going to go up until they fix the thing. Right?
Okay.
So when something is too expensive for a recent trading range, so let's say bread goes up to $2. Okay, that'd be overbought. It's a temporary condition. Okay. Stocks typically return back to their mean, which is over time what people are willing to pay. But what happens though if something gets heated up? Like, for example, we've seen Bitcoin be heated up based upon news right now. We've seen William Buffett say something and get heated up. Now, the earnings still are the same. Are they really willing to pay more for the earnings, or is it just a...
You have to make a determination. That's why when we talk about tariffs or any of the macro news, the spending bill, et cetera, you have to say, hey, is this going to affect people's ability to earn the same amount in the future, to a lesser degree or to a greater degree? So it's important because, you say Warren Buffett and Bitcoin, and that's exactly right. I'll raise you 2000.com bubble. I'll tell you the market conditions we're in a little bit now. I think we have a little chart showing what we are broadly looking like. And frankly, COVID too. Everyone.
So the next, are you following? Are you following this logic? Well, it's like basically because look,
I am. Yeah, sure.
Because look, the reason what you're willing to pay is because look at the market runs on fear and greed. The market also runs on data.
Yep.
It's the market is when Apple closes today, it won't be the same price tomorrow morning.
I have a question about earnings calls, because this is what I hear that phrase all the time.
Perfect. Yeah.
How often do they have their earnings calls?
Every quarter.
Every quarter. Okay.
They file what's called a 10Q.
Okay.
10Q is so you hear public companies file their Qs and their Ks.
Yep.
10Q is their quarterly report. 10K is their annual report.
Okay. So then they send that information out to all of the people that are already
at the same time.
Very important.
So in other words, very often, when we have someone on the air here, they will have sent us their Q or their earnings the night before, so we're prepped for the interview, but we can't do anything with it. Hence the Martha Stewart, because it would be insider trading. So let's say I have Apple, and Apple missed earnings by 50%.
Sure.
That'd be a day that we go short Apple.
You know something about what the price earnings ratio is saying.
But you can't act on it.
You can't know
So
that.
the idea is that everyone knows at the same time. They put them out there in what's called a press release through PR Newswire, Businesswire. And then everyone sees it the same
Everyone knows.
So here's why this is
Theoretically.
important.
Yeah. Well, no,
I mean,
well, whoever's
there's
paying attention.
Well, right, but then there's people that get the information. And
Well,
they
there's
go to jail.
there's
for
well,
insider trading, right?
I don't know. See, I don't-
Allegedly.
See, I disagree.
Allegedly.
I disagree. I don't think insider trading actually happens as much as you think it does in terms of things like that. And I'll tell you why. Because if there was a spike in a stock, and there was a spike in a stock, it was Tempest Therapeutics, TPST. We had them on the air with us before. They were 18 cents. They went to $11. Okay, we all owned their stock before that happened. Had we sold that stock, or bought more stock, more accurately, prior to that happening, I will tell you, I got a phone call or an email when that happened, as did you, and as did Greg.
Yep.
That said, how many shares did you have? When did you get them, and do you still have the shares?
It was like we did Watergate. What did you know and when did you know?
And it happens every single time there's a big spike or a drop. And that's how FINRA, one way, you would not get away with it. I could have made each of you, I could have told each one of you, go beg, borrow, or steal $5,000 and you'll have $1 million in your account by the end of the week. I could have told you that. And I knew it was going to happen. Wouldn't have mattered because they all would have unwound it inside of 6 months and we'd all be frickin' indicted. So the idea is, I don't think that happens as often as you think it does anymore because of not only the access information, AI is part of it, and just the fact that
monitor it, right?
Just the fact that the people, look at, there's a reason there's a Security Exchange, SEC, and a FINRA, and that is to keep the reason we had a stock market crash of 1920 or 22 or whatever it was is because people were selling 180% of 100%.
Yeah, no.
You can't do that.
What happened to my point here?
Well, the point we were trying to make is does everybody get everything at the same time? Ideally, she was asking, with your earnings out.
Yeah, information, because the internet now is so much more of a commodity than it used to be. I mean, I'm sure you know 1,000 stories from the 80s, Sully, about whisper phone calls and notes and things that people used to know stuff, used to be able to make these calculations ahead of everyone else. But I don't think that is as ubiquitous as it once was.
Okay, going back to the Tempest day, let's say that there was someone who was just psycho about following the stock market, just thought when he first or she first learned about Tempest, this I think is going to be huge. And they would have determined that day before, oh my God, I think these guys.
They would. The chance of that would have been so infinitesimal.
Okay, all right.
Because reason they put out top line data.
Yeah.
Which caused. Now here's a stock that no one was following. Okay.
Right.
Not a lot of people knew about them.
Okay.
But still, it turned into a meme stock overnight. Okay. The fact that you were a steady shareholder is one thing, but in the 11th hour for you to buy, let's say that you own Apple. You own Microsoft, you own U.S. oil and GLD. So you have an oil exchange traded fund, a gas exchange traded fund, Microsoft and Apple. And suddenly you put $100,000 into biotech on a company nobody's heard of.
Yeah.
I wish.
You think there's a red flag there, right? I mean, there's
just lucky.
To your point, technology and AI and everything is making it much easier to determine that, to see people's activity.
Well, in every corner of the financial world, because, and you wouldn't remember this, and you may not, but I know you do, and I know that you guys do. On stage there, as you remember writing a check on Monday for $20 so you could buy groceries, knowing that the check wasn't going to clear till Thursday?
Of course. College days.
It was called floating a check.
Yeah.
Or the feds would call it kiting a check, which is a felony. But the point is, if you write a check today, that check will be out of, if you deposit a check, and I can't remember the last time I wrote a paper check, but if I write you a check and you took that check and put it, and didn't even go to the bank, but deposit in your bank, it's out of your account that same day.
Same day.
There's no flow. So in every corner of the world, and financially, that's it. Doesn't mean, though, Howie and I work off air with many people that you see on the air in something called market restructuring. We're looking at what's called short positions and abusive short selling and counterfeit shares, whereby people are shorting stock that doesn't exist. And we're starting to get a hold of that. And of course, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, because they lost money, because these things are front and forward. Well, we found a new thing. It's called high frequency trading, HFC, and that's what's causing fraud. There's always going to be somebody that's going to find the next
trying to buck the system.
The next letter scam that's going to get you to spend $2,000 to get $1,000 back or whatever.
Yeah.
So, in any case, I think that technology is helping us in one respect, but I think it's important for us to continue talking about things like PE ratio. Next time you get on there, let's talk about forward earnings, because I think that's something we need to talk about.
That's great. Yeah, I'd love to expand the
Howie,
conversation.
good to have you. Are you out of here?
I have a plane to catch, guys. Good to be here. I'll see you next time. Yep. I'll just
catch the
Great to see you, bud.
I'm out.
Howie Font.
Peace, Howie.
Thanks, bud.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, he's got
A lot more show. Howie's apparently there he goes. Out of the backyard of the Loft 100 studio.
All right, keep it here. Much more to come to BBS.
Okay, that's Mike talking. Oh.
5 countries, all the ships at sea. As we always say, thank you to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces listening on the American Forces Network. They are the Dictator Trio. Back here at Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todoroff. I didn't get it out of my mouth again. And Sully.
The Dictator.
God.
The Dictator.
It's these dentures.
No, it's the first day with his new tongue, fellas.
How are you? By the way, how are you doing with your Vivos Therapeutics?
Oh my God.
Snoring.
Not snoring.
You're not
Really?
snoring.
Not snoring.
No. Hey, Raza Bokhari, Dr. Raza Bokhari, with MDCX as his stock symbol, Medicus Pharma, is going to be joining us. Mike, we had him on, I think, about a month ago. I really like Raza. I speak to him off the air. He is a really interesting cat. And this new venture of his, Medicus Pharma, is pretty exciting. They recently went on NASDAQ. Again, the ticker is MDCX. And guess what? He joins us once again. Dr. Bokhari, so great to see you again, sir. How are you?
Thank you so much, Sully, for getting me back on your program. I really appreciate being here, and also very much have enjoyed our offline conversations. You are indeed a scholar and a gentleman that understands the workings of entrepreneurs and the challenges and opportunities we see and challenges we face.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm wearing this orange hat because I had a procedure done regarding skin cancer or close skin cancer. But it's a hat because first of all, I look like a automobile accident victim. But number two is to warn people to start putting stuff on your head. I want to talk about what you guys are doing here because Skin Ject is a chemo patch that is against basal cell carcinoma. Imagine that. That would be exactly what I sort of went out and took a look at. Talk about what you guys are doing. Talk about why it's different, why it's novel, and where you guys are in the food chain regarding FDA.
Our basal cell carcinoma indication, it is the most common cancer. It is treated surgically through in the hands of qualified dermatologists who are trained in surgery. There are 5 million cases. There are only about 1 million or so procedures every year. So it is a big unmet medical need. And we are advancing a novel therapy that can deliver non-invasively a chemotherapeutic agent at the site of the lesion. Our studies have now are in phase 2. We have done some interim analysis. It is trending positively. So we are very confident since looking at the interim data in early March. We have now expanded our study from 60 patients into 90 patients, and also taking this study beyond the shores of the United States into Europe. And separately also last week received an approval to also begin to randomize 36 patients in the Middle East with Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi, as our principal investigator. So we are working on all cylinders, and I hope that sooner rather than later, we will have an approved drug available for commercialization and hopefully not only alleviate pain and suffering, but also bring substantial returns to our shareholders.
Dr. Bokhari, two questions for you. Let you out of here today, and certainly want to get you back and want to get you in studio at some point. You and I talked about potentially an FDA fast track because of some data, and what I wanted to find out is what is that going to look like, and then what else are you guys doing? What's next for you guys for the rest of the year? We're almost at the halfway point.
Sure, I really appreciate that for this opportunity. So we are certainly sitting in a Type C meeting with the FDA sometime later this year, hopefully before the end of Q3, to get more alignment. It's a novel therapy. We have high confidence that the FDA would agree with us and give us a fast track designation, that our 90 patient study currently, plus these additional studies that we are expanding in beyond United States, would all be compiled, and no more than 300 to 400 patients should be randomized, and with a positively trending or positive findings in the study, it would qualify for a new drug application under a 505(b)(2) pathway, and this product could become commercially available sometime in 2027. But our work goes on. Since we last spoke, we announced acquisition of through a binding letter of intent of a UK-based company called NTEP that has two phase 2 studies focused on patients with advanced prostate cancer with high cardiovascular risk profile, another unmet need that has requires a better treatment modalities, and we have this Tariffs, the next generation gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist that would be very viable. Actually, the former President Biden was just diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer that has become metastatic. I think he would be a good candidate for Tariffs study. So we believe we are onto something which is important. And the same compound, Tariffs, also, just like Skin Ject, has never been done before, but the company has an indication approved to prevent recurrence of acute urinary retention. So in Sully, in people of your and my age, a million of us sometimes end up getting an acute urinary retention episode, and then the treatment is also surgical intervention. About 500,000 or so patients suffer recurrence. There are 1 million, and primarily it is due to prostate hypertrophy. So we have an injectable. We have a 390 patient study post closing this acquisition that we are in the process of completing. We would certainly be expanding these development programs. So we're very excited to expand our drug pipeline with Tariffs as our next generation gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist.
Dr. Raza Bokhari, the CEO of Medicus Pharma. Dr. Bokhari, always great to visit with you. Doing great things out there. Hope to get you back on the show very soon.
Oh, he's coming back all right.
Love it. And speaking of the show, that is it for today. Everybody who makes this show possible, thank you. More importantly, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.